Hi! This is Luke.
Hi.
I'm Zoe. We're doing a movie review of the movie
Time to Kill! The movie starring Nicolas Cage. We could not find it in English, so we had to watch it in Italian with English subtitles, even though originally it is in English.
No, it's actually not.
But Nick Cage speaks English the whole time. That's a fact.
Hold on. The Italian American actors speak only English and people dub over their voices in the actual movie.
Italian.
What?
Only Italian, not only English.
No, the Italian American actors speak English and people dub over their voices with Italian.
Okay, so what I'm saying is there is a version where there is English.
I don't know.
There must be. They couldn't have released that.
It was released in Italy.
Not in America at all?
No, it was released in Italy.
That's so stupid. Anyway, this movie is about, a battalion of soldiers from Italy and Ethiopia they never explain what they're doing there.
No, they're there because they're trying to seize the government to colonize it, to make it a colony for Italy.
Okay.
And they explain that at the end of the movie, at the very end,
the last
scene.
And it's about this lieutenant who...
Very dreamy.
Nicolas Cage. Who...
No, I mean...
Has a toothache. No, he's not.
Okay.
And needs pills from another military camp. So he gets his truck driving buddy. Hey pal, let's go truck driving. To drive him to the other camp to get pills. And mid-drive, the guy's joking around with them, talking to him.
And yeets the bus off the road
into some rocks, and the bus is stuck.
And, let me say the next part. And Nicolas Cage is very impatient because his tooth really hurts. So he's like, it's only a 2-hour walk. I'll walk there. And he goes to a construction site, and a really weird guy, tells him to take a shortcut to the camp because the construction site didn't have a medic, so he didn't do anything, or they couldn't do anything for him, so he needs to go back to the main camp where he was gonna go anyways. He follows the shortcut, and the title of the book when it was released in English is The Shortcut, and the whole movie is about this shortcut.
As he's walking down the shortcut he got from the guy at the construction site, he slips down a rock and his hand gets caught in a hole and cut.
And so he follows this creek, sees a waterfall, and there's a woman bathing in the waterfall. And then they do stuff.
Yeah.
Later in the movie, Nicolas Cage's friend from the beginning, who said, "Don't leave now, wait until the morning," and one of their majors are walking, and they see women sitting outside of a church late at night, and Nicolas Cage's friend is like, "Oh, I'm gonna see if they have room in their bed for one more," and he goes up there, and the major starts laughing, and Nicolas Cage is like, "Huh?" And the guy comes back, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, you're so mean, they have leprosy." And Nicolas Cage is like, "What?" And the major's like, yeah, don't you know white turbans mean leprosy? And Nicolas Cage is like, brain blast to the past.
I guess the girl that he did stuff with earlier had a white turban.
Lascialo andare. Guardiamo.
Ma che razza di scherzi sono? Voi sapevate di quelle ragazze?
Sapeva cosa?
Lebbra.
E non l'avevi capito? Ma ti pare che due fiorellini così starebbero ad aspettare un coglione come te se non fossero leprose? Andiamo, su, su col morale. Tutto sommato questa sera avete imparato qualcosa, no? Quelle due ragazze stanno sempre lì vicino alla chiesa. Anche tra 40 anni. Staranno sempre là, sotto quell'albero.
Ma se qualcuno si avvicina?
Solo due imbecilli come voi si avvicinerebbero. Hanno in testa il turbante bianco. Andiamo! Comincia a piovere!
Enrico!
The whole rest of the movie is based off him thinking he has leprosy. And so he thinks he has leprosy because his cut won't heal.
And you were like, it's only been like a day.
Yeah,
of course it's not going to heal.
It was a very, like, it took place in a week, and it was a pretty deep cut. And it didn't make any sense. And so he had a bandage wrapped around it the whole time, but it was like a dirty cloth. So, of course, that's just going to infect it.
Yeah.
Also. So he thinks he has leprosy the whole time, even though he talks to a doctor, and the doctor's like, most patients don't know they have leprosy 10 to 20 years until after they're infected. He's still like, oh my gosh, I have leprosy.
And the whole time he's talking to this doctor, he's like, yeah, this book I'm reading, this guy has a disease. I think it's leprosy. And the doctor's like, yeah, okay, buddy, your friend has leprosy. And he's like, here, take... And then the doctor is like, oh, if someone has leprosy, they're put in these villages with people who only have leprosy and basically are isolated.
And the reason Nicolas Cage was talking to the doctor is because he got furlough, which means he got to go, he's
home.
Sent back home.
And he has a wife.
And he has a wife back in Italy. And so the doctor's like,
let me order some water real quick.
Let me get a drink. I'm a thirsty boy. And he's like, oh, by the way, what's your name? Because Nicolas Cage revealed the cut on his hand, and he's like, oh my gosh, this boy has leprosy. I can't let him go back to Italy. So he's calling someone, and Nicolas Cage shoots a gun at him and runs away. But he doesn't get his thing stamped before he sneaks on the boat.
The boat to go home. And also the boat's like closed because it's the middle of the night. And the guy comes on and is like,
Get off.
Dude, the boat's empty, get out of here. And he's like, I'm sorry. Okay. I have furlough.
And he's like, you need to get this stamped before you can come on, and it's still closed for 3 hours.
And then he goes out to the place where they stamp him, and like immediately a crowd of like 100 people starts running up to the booth. It's the most cartoon moment of the whole movie. And
then there's someone getting killed by a squad of a gun squad.
Oh yeah, a gun squad, a random guy in a gun squad. Also, there's flashbacks of, like, random people we don't know dying at one part. Like, the guy who gave him directions is just, like, his dead body. And then a bunch of village people we don't know their dead bodies, like, for no reason.
No reason,
Like, nothing to do with the plot.
But he ends up going to the girl that he found bathing in the waterfall. He goes to her.
You have to tell him that she died.
That's spoilers!
That happens at the beginning!
Yeah, I know. But I didn't want to say it.
So after they did stuff, they're like sleeping in like this cove with a fire, and it's the middle of the night, and like a lion comes up.
Hyena.
Was it a hyena? A hyena comes and starts growling, and he takes his gun out and goes, pew 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 pew, and shoots like 5 bullets at it and misses all of them, and one ricocheted off a rock and shot this girl in the stomach. Like 12 hours after they met, she gets shot by this guy on accident.
Yeah.
And he like hides her in the rocks of this den.
She doesn't die from that.
Oh yeah.
He shoots her to end
put her
her
out
suffering.
of her misery, yeah.
But like 5 hours after he shot her.
And when they first met, he gave her his watch. And then after he kills her, he's like, I'm gonna need my watch back. And after she's like covered in rocks, he like takes her arm out and takes his watch off.
Yeah. It's a pretty good movie.
So later, they go to her dad. He goes to her dad.
Her dad is like the only one of the village still alive for some unknown reason.
They never explain why.
They
but
all
everyone's
just died.
Dead. Yeah.
You see people like, there's one kid hanging from a tree.
Sono stati i nostri zaptier.
There's another that has like bullet holes, but like no explanation behind it. Oh, I think it's the rebels that killed. They never say like what happened, but I guess we just inferred just this moment that rebels of the area on horseback killed natives for no reason.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So anyway, he goes to the dad and is like,
oh, I'm sick, take care of me.
I'm sick. Help. And he's like, get out of here. And he takes care of him anyway, because he's a really nice papa.
He's a real nice puppy.
And
one day, Nicolas Cage wakes up and he's like, where's my daddy? I need him. I need my daddy. And then he finds a hut that was the girl in the waterfall's hut. And he's like, oh, she was so beautiful. And then the dad comes back and he's like, I'm sick because of your daughter. Because we did things. And the dad was like, my daughter wasn't sick.
And he was like, ooh.
He was like, what?
Ooh. Like, I'll show you what happened to her. And then he goes to the site where she's buried. And this man's like, Rah! And then nothing happened. They put like a little hut over.
They build another house.
They
and
build
then,
a little hut for her dead body.
Like 2 days later, and then it cuts to like a bunch of black and white videos of like people marching. and they're like, oh, the Italians took over the government, huzzah! All the soldiers are getting sent back home.
And it's like him on the boat, like, yeah! And that's the end of the movie. That was just a synopsis.
That
Review.
was the summary of the movie, yeah. I would give this movie a 6 out of 10 because while I was watching it, I wasn't bored. I just really wanted it to be over because so the first hour happened and I was like, it's had to have been at least 3 hours we've been watching this movie, and I look at my phone and I'm like, oh shoot, it's only been an hour. And a lot of the subtitles, because we watched it on a YouTube video.
Because we couldn't find it anywhere
Because
else.
it's nowhere on the internet.
Because it's an Italian movie that's
Yeah.
not good.
It's 6 out of 10.
I give it a 4 out of 10. That's my review.
Okay.
Nothing happens, and all the stuff that does happen is like so boring. And then at the end, it's like, oh, that stuff didn't even matter. I didn't have leprosy at all.
I didn't have leprosy at all.
God.
But I give it a 6 because I did laugh, even though I didn't understand what was happening most of the time.
It's poorly...
It's not poorly... I wouldn't say it's poorly edited, but the scene where they show the guy hanging from the noose, they do it so he's in the air, right? But it's like obvious that he's not really there. And the next 2 shots they show where it's just the feet or it's just the head.
It's just poor. It's a poor movie. It's poorly explained. Like that whole part, no explanation. The architect at the construction site, no explanation. He was like, that guy was real suspicious, and then I never go back to him. The doctor acting so weird after telling him he has leprosy, it just... Everything about it is just like a little, why? Like, him going on the shortcut in general. The trucks came like 4 minutes after he left. Like, he could have just sat down.
It was like 2 hours after he left. There were a lot of scenes where Nicolas Cage looked mighty fine, and that is worth at least 2 points in your book, isn't it? So it's a 6 out of 10.
No, I go back, so it's still a 4 out of 10. I give it a 2 out of 10.
A 2 out of 10.
It's just... And I feel like maybe I could have enjoyed it more if it was in English, and it was English actors. So I could understand a little more what they're trying to convey.
Only because the subtitles were very bad.
Yeah.
I was very confused because every time you look up the movie, the summary is he rapes the girl. It definitely was, but then she stayed and he said, or he was going to leave and he was giving her money, but she didn't want the money, probably because it was of no use to her because she lives in the middle of nowhere. But, like, there was a town. She was not anywhere near the town. She was just in the forest. So she took the Holy Bible and his watch, as we said, and he said, when I was putting the watch on, it felt like I was putting on a wedding ring. And I was like,
It's just...
okay.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the movie, or the rest of the time she's alive, she was like really nice to him, like went back to get him food. They did stuff again, and it was really weird. But also there was a language barrier between them because she didn't speak Italian, but he did. But
And it all just felt so meaningless at the end. He was like, oh well, and then went home to his wife.
I guess I gotta go home now. It's like the whole thing started because he went on Google and he was like, my hand isn't healing immediately. What do I have?
And
it's
the
like,
1MD was like,
leprosy.
Leprosy. Let me get a armadillo. That it?